Call to order the Rice Creek Watershed District Board of Managers regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, August 27th, it's 9 a.m. We're here at the Mounds View City Hall's council chambers. Let the record reflect that all of us are present with the exception Manager Waterman, who is absent with prior notice, but may be able to join us remotely when we get to the budget. This is time for open mic, public comments. Any Rice Creek Watershed District resident may address the board in his or her individual capacity for up to 3 minutes on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are requested to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record. Additional comments may be solicited and accepted in writing. Generally, the Board of Managers will not take official action on items discussed at this time, but may refer the matter to staff for a further report or direct that the matter be scheduled on an upcoming agenda. Anyone? Mr. Stowe, Ms. Decker, you're here as usual. Did you come to speak or come to listen?
I'll say something.
You did that to yourself.
Christopher Stowe, 426 Pine Street. It's really concerning for me hearing about how wetlands tax credits are established, and our Browns Creek Wetland Preserve was DNR land. And as a taxpayer that has a lifetime hunting license, lifetime fishing license, multiple ATVs, multiple boats, I give the DNR a lot of money. So when they have a piece of land, the way I understand it, and you guys needed a wetlands bank, you bought the land from the DNR, which as a taxpayer, that's already our land, to then have to maintain that wetlands. But when developers come in and they fill up ponds and stuff, then they have to buy wetlands credits from already existing wetlands that now we're on the hook for maintaining. So we're really just filling the swamps all over the place around here, charging the developers or the landowners to fill those ponds, to then sell them wetlands credits from land that we got from the DNR. I thought wetlands credits was supposed to be, hey, a farmer's got a low field, let's flood it out and turn it into a natural preserve for the aquatic animals and birds and fish and amphibians and all the stuff that live in the wetlands. But instead what we're doing is we're just selling the people DNR land that we bought back to the people for how much an acre? 150,000, I think, 140, 130, 100, too much. And then on West Pine Street, when you lower that pipe, it's gonna drain a lot. And now on your budget, I won't talk about the budget specifically yet, but you've got develop it in Columbus, like where the John Deere dealership is off Lake Drive. And Columbus dredged that ditch so deep to send all the water down 10, 22, 32, and my pipes are too high like I showed you in the video last time. So you're keeping the cycle of flooding going for me, but yet we're selling wetlands credits and just filling wetlands like behind Catherine Decker's house. They're putting 96 homes on 30 buildable acres back there, and they call it nature's refuge. Sounds more like nature's slaughter. You can hear all the trees getting cut down. Animals are getting pushed out. Where are they gonna go? But the wetlands credits thing is a complete scam. It's a total hustle. And that's all I gotta say about that. It needs to be addressed, but my flooding continues. Right now I got a piece of machinery stuck in my upper paddock because it's that bad. And this is the end of August. It's usually our driest part of the year. And I'm at basically the elevation of the road and I'm underwater. It's within a foot of the road and I'm underwater. Thank you.
Mr. Stowe, let me advise you that the Rice Creek Browns Preserve is used only for Rice Creek projects. We do not sell it to private people for their projects. I'm done.
Where do you sell them?
You're done. We don't sell them.
You don't have a bank per se. We're not making new wetlands, so we're just filling the wetlands and charging people and
We use them for our own projects, just Rice Creek projects. So,
And
it's still DNR land.
Mr. President, just to a little more background on that. The legislature some years ago determined that the DNR had many of these very small wildlife management areas of 40, 60, 80 acres. And they instructed the DNR to disperse of them. So this was one of those examples that they were, because they wanted larger ones like Carlos Avery, or the new one they've created over on Old Kelly Farm in Washington County there. It's between the county and the DNR. I think that's about 2,000 acres. So that's how that came about. We, as a district, couldn't clean our ditches there. That's what we were trying to do, because the ditch goes through there. And so we had to purchase it from the DNR, which we did. And then we sold the old housing site off of it for the power company to put in a substation in the future. And the cost of it was very little. And as the president says, we use those credits that were developed there for areas where we need projects such as drainage, where we have to mitigate for the loss. So I think that's a little more, just a little more background for you to understand that the legislature was the ones that prompted the DNR to, in the 7-county metro area, to not have a lot of little 40, 80 acre wildlife management areas that they deemed were not really large enough to do anything, because you're going to have a huge housing project in Forest Lake across the street from what that used to be. So firearms in a 40 or 80 acre area next to large housing projects for people to live on are, they're not really compatible.
So let's set the agenda. Any change to the agenda?
Staff have no proposed changes.
Anyone else have a proposed change? Motion, please.
I move to accept the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none.
Perfect, Mr. Chair. I think now it is my turn here to move that we approve the minutes from the August 11, 2025 workshop and the August 13, 2025 regular meeting. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. That brings us to the public hearing on the proposed 2026 budget, levy, and water management district charges. We're going to recess our regular meeting and go into public hearing on the Rice Creek Watershed District's proposed 2026 budget and levy, including watershed-wide property tax levy, a special levy for Anoka County Ditch 5362 Water Management District, known as WMDs. Purpose of the hearing is to hear comments and take input from parties having an interest in the proposed 2026 budget and levy. The levy will include a property tax levy on all properties located within the watershed district. It will also include additional special levy on a water management district, the Anoka County Ditch 5362 WMD. Mr. Tomzak, would you please provide a summary of the 2026 budget and levy impact, as well as the individual water management district budget and levy?
Mr. Chair, could we clarify who's online, or if there are people online?
They can't speak anyway.
No, they can't speak, but it'd be nice to know if we have,
Just John Cole.
just John Crowe.
Yep, okay.
Thank you, President Bradley, Board of Managers, public. Good morning to you. As you noted, 2026 budget public hearing on page, I see our screen. Yeah, no need for the, okay, thank you. Page 20 of your packet has proper notice of today's public hearing. This was published in multiple locations on various dates to meet our obligation. On page, there we go. Page 21 of the packet is the district's 2026 budget in the table form. Left to right, the number of the various funds of the district and the associated subfund, the name, the policy classification, if there is one, the 2025 budget information, and then the 2026. Then numerically going down, and I will do this in numerical order, are each of the funds for the district, Fund 10, Fund 30, Fund 35, etc. The 2026 budget supports the implementation of the district's watershed management plan This plan provides a resource management direction for the district, establishing its budget framework for projects and programs. The framework guides development of the district's annual budget. This is not definitive as to the annual budget, but a foundation to it. I'll be sharing detail of the district's 2026 budget items. In a few areas, I do intend to provide some additional detail from the dialogue the board has had in its discussion in areas that have received focused interest. The 2026 budget includes dollars, so starting here with Fund 10. The district budget includes dollars for the district's general administration and operation. That's Fund 10. In each of the funds, 00 fund, that is the fund that immediately follows the grade row of the spreadsheet. These funds are subject to the district's 40% cash flow reserve policy. The funds address the administrative needs of the district, that is manager per diem, its travel, staff, expenses, resources for implementations of the district work, such as office rent, its vehicles. Notably this year, we do intend a purchase of a vehicle to replace one that we haven't had for a number of years. It includes consultant support for accounting, human resources, financial services. It includes all current district staff positions, their salary benefits consistent with the district's organizational chart. Each of the district's individual funds uniquely contribute to that shared administrative need. Moving from Fund 10, in each of the individual components there, we start with communication and outreach, which is Fund 30. In that program, we have various outreach efforts, which include the Citizen Advisory Committee and the expenses and meetings associated with that. Includes outreach for district projects and programs, including creating resources, printed materials, utilizing specialized software to create materials in-house at the district. Includes signage for projects, project support, design and purchase of educational materials for the district's water quality grant, its stormwater management grant, as well as other district and collaborative public water projects throughout the district's cities and counties. It includes support for media programming, visual art through initiatives with city and county programs. Outreach initiatives support the public workshops with our cities and counties, such as Smart Salting. This is support and outreach in programs with organizations such as Growing Green Hearts, Fresh Water, support to our schools and community center programming. And projects like Resilient Roseville, Friends of the Mississippi River, and we also support for regular partner programs like East Metro Water Resource Education Program and Blue Thumb. The expenses of Fund 30 include support for planning shoreline and aquatic and native plant workshop series for 2026. It includes a mini grant program, which includes a $10,000 increase in funding to a total of $30,000. These funds support the willing landowner to engage in work consistent with the district's program. Provides funds to update the watershed management plan, as well as any necessary engineering support. Moving on to Fund 35, which is information management. This is information technology hardware, security, maintenance, and updates. The previous year included some updates of our hardware in the district office. That is now complete, so you'll see a reduction in funds there. This is consultant services for information technology support, for system management, that is software licensing, system compatibility, and updates to the system. Fund 35 includes dollars for the district-wide model program. These are annual updates and maintenance, software conversion efforts to keep the model relative. This is floodplain assistance to municipalities in application and use of the district-wide model, as well as flood study support to our communities. The dollars here also maintain the district's database and further develop tools supporting our institutional knowledge and ability of sharing information to the public, such as our drainage database, RMS forefront software, and the various GIS layers. This fund includes as well the host and supporting of the district's website, and includes the review and updating to confirm its compliance with Americans with Disability Act. Move this down here. From there, moving to Fund 60, which is restoration. I should say it was known as restoration. We did have some discussion about the titling of this one. I have revised it to Restoration, Project Planning and Implementation. I'll share a little bit of detail about what we do with this fund. This fund is used for capital projects to provide flood control, drainage, and water quality benefit. The account excludes efforts that are solely for the purpose of maintaining under Minnesota Statute 103E, public drainage systems, which is Fund 80, as well as the district's existing facilities, which is Fund 95. In development of the budget, the board discussion occurred on the interface of these budget items with the district's obligations and its goals. The projects under Fund 60 combine or augment other work the district completes, as no one program or project addresses the entirety of the district's obligations and goals. Specific to Rice Creek's management of the public drainage systems, a number of 2026 projects address the increasing demands placed on the public drainage system. You may recall our discussion regarding the change in land use in the district, the increased demands that places on the landscape for us, and the expectations from rural drainage to urban stormwater. For the current public drainage systems as compared to how it was designed and what it was constructed to do. In the simplest example, at that time we discussed the difference between the 10-year storm event of the storm sewer and the 2-year design of the public drainage ditches on the landscape, and the increased stormwater volume that occurs because of that, and coming off the paved surfaces. The district developed tools to address it. This is its standards, the rules, and the district-wide model. The regulations and the district-wide model, along with these projects under Fund 60, work to identify and address the increased demands. Providing stability in the public drainage system and our other natural waterways, and flood protection to downstream property owners. Very often the on-ground solutions to these issues, the excess demand on the systems, involve decreasing the demand by either storing or infiltrating water off the landscape. So 103E does not allow the district to initiate projects that improve the public drainage systems or its capacity. This can only be initiated by the landowners of the system, not Rice Creek. Other means of addressing these demands include stabilization practices we've done in our ditches and the channels of natural waterways, decreasing erosion, and long-term required maintenance. Often these projects' collective efforts and outcomes result in it having grant eligibility. The 2026 budget specifically proposes a number of projects that address demands on the public drainage systems in conjunction with water quality and flood mitigation. I'll just note those. That's JD3, Clearwater Creek Bank Stabilization, Ramsey County Ditch 235, Jones Lake, JD2, Hardwood Creek Storage Feasibility. These are all projects that have multiple benefits, including that public drainage system function. So with that little tangent, I'll move into further on Fund 60, project planning and implementation and its various subfunds. So what do we budget for the year? As I just noted, Clearwater Creek, Anoka, Washington Judicial Ditch 3 stabilization and stream restoration, the design and construction there. As you know, we have a grant there of $108,000+. We continue the Centerville Lake Elm project. As you'll recall, we have a grant there as well, $954,000+. We have Anoka County Ditch 72. This is its outlet and water quality initiative and ongoing efforts to address the Peltier Lake water quality issues. We have Moore Lake stormwater analysis plan for 2026. Here the district also has a grant, the amount of $71,000 in its partnership with the City of Fridley. We have our work at Old Central Avenue, the stream bank stabilization and stormwater treatment. We have channel stability issues impacting water quality, including assessment of Middle Rice Creek near Irondale High School. We have Highway 61 ponds, the final design and construction there. You recall we have a fund there as well of $60,000. Also included under Fund 60, Ramsey County Ditch 2, 3, and 5 basic water management project at Jones Lake. That's phase 1, addressing flood mitigation, which is its primary outcome, but also serves ditch stability, water quality, and includes public outreach. There the district has a grant it secured of $1,173,000+. We have intended spending with the City of New Brighton Public Works and its floodplain mitigation project, providing stormwater storage and reduced discharge rates to the public drainage system. This is a commitment under the district's stormwater management grant in the amount of $100,000. Hardwood Creek Judicial Ditch 2 Watershed Storage feasibility study. Here the district has a grant of $50,000. Stormwater management grant that the district administers. We have an increase of $100,000 to $400,000. This is to address the board's guidance on potential eligible applications, including board discussion on pond cleanout and enhanced street sweeping, noting not to take on another entity's established obligation. This fund includes existing committed grant awards from previous years that are yet to be paid out. Fund 60 includes Carth Lake shoreline stability and flood mitigation, possible partnership with City of Art Pales there to study pumping options, as the lake does not have a outlet. Clear Lake shoreline stabilization in conjunction with the City of Forest Lake's Eureka Avenue project. We have regional stormwater study funds to investigate Arden Hills, Arden Manor, and Stormwater Research Council. Also groundwater studies and projects efforts under the various entities such as TCAP, White Bear Lake, Columbus, and ACD 102232. Move this up again. For those watching. Moving to Fund 70, which is our regulatory fund. This is continued rule implementation. This is implementation of the 2024 revised regulation. It includes engagement on pre-permit discussion, permit application review itself, management of the open permits once they've been issued. Next rule consideration is in 2027, so there is some reduction in the funds there. This fund addresses mandated reporting requirements of the Wetland Conservation Act on its comprehensive wetland protection and management plans, as well as level 2 city audits. This includes public drainage system petition review and processing in alignment with the district rules. Includes permit guidance document updates, permit cost evaluation, surety schedule updates, and utilization policy. This also includes partnership inspection contracts with our county conservation districts. Moving on to Fund 80. This is our ditch and creek maintenance fund. This is to maintain the public drainage system right-of-way through its annual drone inspection, survey inspection, dredging, mowing, spraying, and other maintenance activities. The fund reflects an increasing maintenance pressure and increasing costs. I'll note here the comments that the district received, the managers and board engaged in discussion on, and I'll try and offer a little bit more clarity here. 8002 does have forecast work in the coming year. It has an increase of 30+% from the previous year. For 2026, subject to revision and conditions, includes ACD 5362 Branch 1 work, ARJD 1 Branch 2, Washington Judicial Ditch 7 Main Trunk, and Judicial Ditch 2 work. Continuing there, regarding the right-of-way and its maintenance and the system maintenance, we did receive comments, of course, specifically on Anoka Ditch 102232 as well. In response to those concerns, the board did engage in a conditions report ahead of work, namely West Pine Street was the subject. This occurred at your April 23rd, 2025 board meeting, where you considered the conditions memo, after which the board approved that no loss determination for the Pine Street culvert. Detailing the current, the report detailed the current conditions of an Anoka Ditch 102232 system, proposed management of those conditions, and confirmed alignment with current program operational procedures and standards. Notably, consideration of the Anoka Ditch 102232 alternative for repair is not directly funded in 2026. That doesn't undermine the team's work to continue maintenance on the system as we have been doing. However, I will note the maintenance work. You'll recall within that report, it had a nice map and a number of different areas. It had 14 different segments or areas identified. 8 of those will be completed by the end of 2025. This did set staff up to go ahead and proceed with the lowering of Pine Street. We wanted the downstream work completed first, and that is scheduled near the end of September. We have a contractor lined up. That's always subject to, can they get out there in the wetness and those types of things. But Tom is on board and looking at alternatives should that need arise. So I'll move back from my tangent and continue down regarding Fund 80. The district's prioritization plan that you established years ago has us looking at Anoka Ramsey Judicial Ditch 1. Those expenses include both legal support and legal noticing in the engineer's work. Anoka Ramsey Judicial Ditch 1 repair report implementation includes peak flood control in Judicial Ditch 4 Watershed, peak flow mitigation efforts in partnership with Forest Lake after a study which you've partnered with the city on. Anoka Ditch 5362 Branch 5 and 6 repair project, which is currently under consideration by the board. That will include both ad valorem and your water management district efforts. I'll make note here, because this public hearing includes the establishment or use of that water management district, that has a total of $219,397 in parcel charges and $2,845 in direct right-of-way billing. The fund also supports efficient public drainage system maintenance by our municipal partners if they're doing work in the area, and provides potential support consistent with our natural water management policy. Moving on to Lake and Stream Management, which is Fund 90. Here we continue the water quality grant program and those committed project payouts that are pending. Include surface water monitoring and management program continuance, and also the continuance of the common carp management program, as well as the curly leaf pondweed management program. From there, district facilities, which is Fund 95. So this includes the district's facilities, their startup as the seasons change, the inspection, the maintenance, the repair work, preserving that public investment there. Includes the planned Lake Johanna outlet structure replacement. Also includes our partnership on the Privy Lake Outlet Project sediment testing and removal. From there, I'll move to page 22 of the packet. This is our fund balance estimations, which is a double check of where the district's going. Under the 2026 proposed budget, the fund balance estimations at the close of 2026 reconcile or settle the year in an acceptable way. You have the dollars to be consistent with your adopted 40% fund balance policy. This page also identifies the balance transfers proposed at the close of 2025. So as we go into 2026, the funds are available for the intended fund balance spending throughout the year. On page 2025 of the packet, you'll see the total expenditures are $11,193,092. Revenue to cover those expenses is $6,403,200, which comes from the watershed-wide general property tax levy. We have $231,742 that come from your water management districts. This is not just the previously noted Anoke Kindage 5362. As you have others in play that have longer timeframes, and those will notably continue to collect dollars. A lot of those are in regards to Ramsey County Ditch 4, which we have entered into agreement, and those are passed through to the city of Roseville. Further, for revenue, you have $641,200 for fees and investment income, and then $2,923,821 from the project anticipation fund. There's roughly $840,000, which are the previous year's committed spending, largely for the stormwater management grant, and pending those being successfully installed and the documentation provided to the district. Say this is evident of the district's success in securing grants and saving advance for projects. Again, that's your project anticipation fund. And then we also have nearly $1 million, $993,129,000 for the year in secured grant funding. So again, the budget is $11.2 million. The district's fund balance remains sufficient under the anticipated closing balance of 2026 to meet the 40% fund balance policy. On page 26 of the packet, you'll see the levy implications for property holders. The calculus for the budget's levy impact on property owners is challenging, as it's allocated across 4 different counties, which each have a different taxing rate. There are likely to be increases or decreases for individual properties' estimated tax rate within, and variation from year to year. That's largely beyond our control. The proposed 2026 budget resulting levy requirement are indicated to be relatively flat, looking at where we're at. Again, the tax rates are not available at this time to calculate the impact, and it's off when looking backwards that we get those. Our budget is a 3.56% increase over the one from the levy from the previous year. And we've calculated the impact on $400,000 of property value, which is estimated at around $63 for the year. And that's down from estimates in previous years. Again, relatively flat. I'll again note County Ditch 5362 Water Management District, the charge to result in a total collection of $222,242, comprised of $219,397 in levied charges and $2,845 in right-of-way direct billing. With that, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Nick. We're about to invite public comments. I want to emphasize that we receive those comments from you. It's not designated to be or designed to be a discussion with us. We're here as a board to hear your comments only. We ask each person coming to the microphone state his or her name and address for the record. At this time, we are open for public comments on the budget.
Go ahead. I work here every day.
Christopher Stowe, 426 Pine Street. I'm about fiscal responsibility, and I also have a lot of neighbors that are on fixed incomes. Because they're on fixed incomes, anytime there's an increase, they don't get an increase. So you're chipping away at them more and more and more. Kind of seems like the Rice Creek Watershed District is set up to push for development, because as there's more development, we get more money. The problem is that, like Nick kind of alluded to, the drainage goes from being able to be sucked into the ground to be urban runoff, but it's still the same storms, same amount of water pretty much. But as I'm going through this and listening to Nick's proposal, it's hard to follow, because how he bounced around and this actual page didn't jive. I wasn't the only person that was kind of confused where we were at on it. I saw people on board that were looking around, but to say things like, we're gonna replace a vehicle next year that we haven't had in years, isn't replacing a vehicle, it's getting another one, because we went from more people to less people or whatever. But typically, owning a business, which I own a couple of them, it's usually cheaper to pay your employees mileage than it is to maintain vehicles. Second thing I noticed on here is every single item on the first thing is the salaries. So I'm confused if I add all these salaries up and all these sections, or how, I don't know how that works from an accounting standpoint. I've done some accounting, but I'm just a dumb plumber. I guess I'd have to talk to somebody with a master's degree or something about that. Then when I go down here, you guys need more money every year, everybody else does. So we're gonna have an increase, but we're kind of not, because all the houses went up in value. So if your house went from 200,000, 400,000, it's really easy to go, hey, we charged you $76 last year. Now this year we're gonna charge you $65, but it's $65 per 200,000. So you actually went from a 75 to 120, that kind of deal. Maybe, I don't know. But then as I go down here, I just start looking at stuff and I go, well, here's the mini grants, under 30-5. Last year we spent 20,000. This year we're gonna spend 30,000. The one up above it, last year we spent 43,000. Now we're spending 46,000. Keep going down, just start looking at stuff, and it's like, we could save a whole bunch of money if we didn't do some of these pet projects. On 60, I mean, you had 2.9 million listed, you spent 1.3, but now next year we gotta spend $4 million on stuff that really doesn't pertain to actual drainage. And then Nick said something else. He said, we don't lower or improve the drainage at all. That's under something else. But then it comes to my concerns about, because you got 10, 22, 32 on here. You drop 7 culverts north of me, and then you're going to Robinson Sod Farms, and you're dropping the pipes down there and increasing them in size, and then you're doing nothing for Annell Street or 4th Avenue. And then under the money proposed, there's nothing, it's not even in a line item. How can we not have a line item when I've been coming down here for years telling you I got a problem? And all we've done is lowered the pipes multiple times too. The one on Pine Street, you lowered once, and then you lowered it again, and then you scooped it all out. And I know Columbus is gonna be doing development, so we already know that we're gonna have more drainage coming. We should be lowering those pipes right now. Anyway, when I keep going through your budget, we got a line item, you know, it's on there under 60-33, we got Forest Lake planning. Next below that, we got Columbus planning. I'm just wondering, what's the plan for that water? Should probably go across Lake Drive and hit that lake. Because if we're not gonna increase the sizes and I'm already having flooding, what's it gonna look like in 20 years? I don't see legal fees on here. I don't see, the main thing I'm looking at on this whole thing is ditch and creek maintenance. And we can't do improvements, I guess, but we're gonna do development and dump it into the old non-improved ditch. That's super confusing to me. But we're giving money away in grants, and we're buying new trucks, and just doesn't seem very fiscally responsible to me. I don't think you guys actually need an increase at all. I think if anything, we need a decrease, and we need to focus on what your main jobs are, and that's getting the water flowing. Am I limited to 3 minutes on this?
No, but you should wrap it up.
I should wrap it up. The other thing is, when he went through these line items, some of these line items, I don't think you should just do a general rubber stamp on this stuff. Because some of the people on this board are directly affected by some of these projects, and they should be recusing their vote on these. I think it's completely illegal to vote otherwise or to not recuse your votes. I also didn't really like when Nick was saying your, but we pay Nick. So shouldn't it be us? Isn't he part of the team? I don't know, this whole thing's kind of maddening if you're from my perspective, because like I said, I got expensive equipment and I'm getting stuck in a swamp basically now that doesn't dry up at any time, and then I'm asking for some help, and we need more money to deal with curly pond leaf. Some of this stuff is lake associations problems, and I know you got joint ventures and this and that and the other, but you're just taking the taxpayer money and scrambling around. I don't call the fire department if I need a police officer at my house. I don't call the police. I don't expect if I call 911, cops might show up, but if my house is on fire, I want the fire department to show up. My taxes go to both of them, I understand that. But right now too, the other thing that I'm really confused about is on your mill rate on here, that's $67 or whatever per every 400,000. How come I'm paying stormwater drainage tax, or actually a utility, to the city of Lino Lakes every year? Everybody in our town's paying for that. They say it's to maintain the ditches, but all my ditches run into 10, 22, 32, and it's literally Columbus's ditch that's flooding me out. And it's literally draining Wagaman's property. And that didn't work. So your engineers looked at it, you dropped the pipe once, your engineers looked at it, then you dropped it again, it still didn't work. Now you're gonna push the water around the other side, now you're dropping West Pine Street. But you didn't drop anything downstream. I'm all for getting the water flowing, but between the jail and where I'm at, we got 15 feet of elevation to go in 2 miles. Come on. You just scoop. So I look at this. I don't have a problem. You guys are a business, I guess. Businesses are in it to make money. I guess this isn't like a nonprofit or what it should be. It's run by the government. You take in this much, you put out, but we need more studies on everything. I don't need a study. I know the water's not draining. How do I know? Because I'm a licensed plumber. How about that? So this budget, I would reject this budget. I would make it a balanced budget, not increase anything. And you know, some of this stuff too on here, I mean, you got your, oh my gosh, your data, you look at your, where is it at? You had one on here for your website. So we spent 25, here's, district website. Last year you spent $2,500. This year you wanna spend $15,000 on a website? 15 grand on a website. Don't we already have a website? Why wouldn't we just remodel our website? Or are we gonna go? You got money all, if this was your business, if you were running a plumbing shop and you already paid for a website, you already paid $2,500 and it's up and running, wouldn't you question like, hey, project manager wants to spend another 15 grand on the website. We already got one. You start adding all this stuff up, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when you add in the special projects that the Lake Association should be doing, you're talking about millions of dollars. You're wasting millions of dollars, and in the interim, you're only spending between 10 and 5% of your annual budget on the actual drainage, and you're not willing to increase the flow of anything, knowing that development's gonna be going on. So north of me, they're gonna be developing. We've already dropped the pipes. The 2-year storm surge is inadequate, especially with modern weather stuff. We don't need to talk about global warming or any of that crap.
So I'm gonna ask
But-
you, you got another minute at most, okay?
Perfect. Anyway, I'm trying to be respectful, but when I look at this and I look at my problems and I see that you guys want more money and then I see where the money's actually going, it's just a shell game. Especially with what we were talking about earlier with the Browns Creek thing. I mean, so basically how I understand that then is we took wetlands that hunters were using, but because we developed it, the DNR wants to sell it, but then you guys use it for your own projects, but we still need wetlands credits for the other developers. So either way, the whole thing about preserving the nature is out the window. It's just, this is all money. This is just about money. And whoever's got the power, they get their pipes lowered. Whoever doesn't, I guess they get flooded out. And then they say, well, it's been flooded out forever, but everybody's been flooded out forever. So thank you for your time, but yeah, this budget, I would vote this down. You guys got way too much pork in here. Way too much.
Thank you, Mr. Stowe.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Ms. Decker?
I concur with Mr. Stowe. I'm his neighbor. I've been to a bunch of these meetings. I didn't come because I was having a problem. I came to support my neighbor. I've seen what he's been going through. I've heard firsthand your story, what goes on. I'm a firsthand witness. I concur.
Thank you. Come forward, please.
Yes, since I have the shortest drive.
So,
You
want to
should-
continue.
name
Yeah,
it.
Niles Zipman, City Administrator, City of Mounds View.
Thank you.
Want to thank staff and a couple of commissioners that I've met with, and as we continue to rehabilitate the entire stormwater system here in Mounds View and investing several millions, we're relying on the ditch maintenance, which we had conversation on that, and so I don't understand it all. I never thought I'd ever know anything about stormwater. Didn't know that was part of the job. I might have reconsidered, right? So, but I understand it's a two-step process and there's funding to do the historical review of what the ditch has to get to. Is that the next step? And that's in the budget. And then subsequent budget will then start the restoration of the ditch.
Correct.
So I'm just, again, appreciate continued advocacy and getting that done. And all right, we're looking forward to taking that next step. And if you've not been out to our two ponds, had a couple neighborhood meetings, we get the shock and dismay. And but now 3 months later, it's like, yeah, that kind of looks nice. And so people are understanding what we're trying to do. And again, the next step is to clear all those drainage things and keep that process going. Thank you.
Thank you. Since there's no one else here, we'll close the public hearing.
No one online either.
And of course, the people online can't speak anyway, so. Okay, so I'd have a motion to close the
I
public.
move to close the public hearing, Mr. President.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Nick, how do we proceed from here?
Well, the board, President Bradley, managers, you can give some direction to your staff in regards to comments you received or thoughts about the budget. You could look to do that under a workshop, if you like. September 10th is the meeting where we intend to adopt budget for 2026. That is a mandated requirement of the state statute under which you're established. And we've been working with Attorney Kolb to come up with that resolution and be prepared for its content.
So I take it there's nothing for us to do today.
That's correct. You can
Unless we had-
comment if
unless
you
we had
like
some
to staff.
specific direction we wanted to give to our staff.
That's correct.
Okay?
Yep. Otherwise, you would reconvene the regular meeting and
Which
move
we've
on.
done.
Okay.
All right. Any comments from board members? If not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Josh?
I'll make my comments under manager
Okay.
comments. That's where I intended to anyways.
Very good.
Comments on this issue?
Yes, on what the issues, what we heard at the public hearing here and on the budget itself.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a question.
Yes, sir.
We have workshop time between now and the 10th, correct? No, yes, the 8th?
Correct. September 8th.
I
but-
do think that you should set some time aside, because I have a feeling whatever Manager Waller's comments are gonna require some kind of back and forth and engagement, and as I've stated in here before, I don't think board meetings are the place to deliberate in particular issues unless it is an item that we're being asked to vote on. To this in particular, I guess I would prefer setting aside some time in a workshop. I know that's difficult, it's a little last minute. I do think there are some things that were identified when we dialogued in the couple of workshops previous. And I would appreciate the opportunity in workshop to discuss those things before this comes back on the 10th for final approval.
It's a deal. All right.
So, Mr. President, comments at the workshop on the September the 8th, is that what?
So I understand, that's the only workshop we have before we have to approve a budget.
That's fine. That's some short time until 2 days later to adjust the budget.
Well, and you want to do that now, we can do that now.
So, I mean, I can make my comments
Why don't
either
you
way.
make your
which
comments?
All right, I will. Thank you, sir. So when I go through the budget here, I think that there's some savings that can be made. And I've made these points before, and we'll look at them again. For example, I think there's a significant savings that can be pursued in the regulatory project area because we do duplication of work that's done at the cities, and I know that that would be a cutting of the monies we pay to the engineers. But I think that's some serious study should be done. We received a comment from the cities talking about that, particularly Forest Lake, and it really wasn't followed through on. So I think that we can do some work there. The word of restoration, I don't really know what that means. For example, on the ditch number 3 project, we're going to put some meanders into the ditch. And of course, meanders, as we've discovered over the years when we've done it at the TCAP property, result in the need for armoring them later so that because they cause sediment to flow into the lakes. And we found that also true with down in Fridley, where you have the natural meanders where you have to put more armament in there. That means rocking those. By the way, I'm not against that. I think that's a good idea to put those rocks in, but creating meanders is, for a restoration, to me, is it just creates more work later on, and because you have to have more maintenance to stop the erosion that's being caused there in the sediments. Sometimes I think one of the things about the grant program, we do a really great job at grants, and I'm an advocate of seeking them out, but sometimes I think you just look for grant money and then you write a project afterwards. And and the project may not be something that's essential. I'll give you an example of that. This is the JD2. This was removed from Hardwood, where it's called the Hardwood Creek JD2 Water Storage Feasibility Study. Well, that was removed earlier in the budget this year because we didn't have the grant money, so it tells me it's not essential. Then when the grant money came, it comes back in the budget. Another thing about the grant money in itself is that I never see a column, and I, by the way, this was good this year. You're starting to see grant money being talked about where it is in the project. For example, would we have done the project on of alum treatment on Centerville Lake if we had to tax those 86 property owners for that $1 million? I don't think so, but we got a grant that may substantially help that. The point is that oftentimes when these grant monies come in, that takes up part of the cost. That extra cost has already been taxed for, and that tax money then becomes in our budget surplus, and we get over the 40%. So it doesn't really come back to the taxpayer necessarily. It just gets, it increases the budget. And let me see where else was I in here. I think that as a taxpayer that's been here, I want to get on to the ditches area. That was very good, Nick, of pointing out about the improvements. That's exactly what it is. I don't think the audience always understands what the word improvement means for us, as to what the layman's term of it is. The layman's term, the proper term we use is maintenance, but improvements are not allowed by the board. That's correct. That means you're making the ditch capacity bigger. So what that does is it really, really emphasizes the need for very diligent maintenance of the ditches, aggressive diligence, even more than what the state recommendations are, to keep those capacities going, because we've changed the land use from agriculture to residential, and we're trying to protect homes and property as the main resource, because that's what we get our taxes on. And so finally, I get down to this chart. It's on 26, and it shows you the valuation. This is, I've been paying on the board as a manager since 2007. So I have a little experience, and I'm from Washington County, and Washington County has it itemized as to what we pay and what our valuations are. So back in 2007, my house in 10 acres was about $329,000 in market valuation. And only, I think it's last year, it finally came back after the Great Recession of 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, whatever the time period you want to assign it to it, to be over. Now it's nearly $400,000 now. Back in 2007, my taxes were $35. Now, of course, they're pretty close to that average 62.92 is. That's true. But the services for the drainage systems, even though we've done a lot of work, we've had to and because of the rules of the state, we've had to reestablish what the drainage systems are. That's what we just heard comment, and we were thanked by the administrator here from Mounds View for doing a historic review. It's necessary for us to do the historic review to decide how deep we can dig the drainage system, or even dig out a beaver dam out of that. It's very frustrating. I understand that. I've personally experienced it. But we haven't been doing the aggressive follow-up on the drainage systems. Once we've established this historic ASIC is what we are, you need to get in there and really keep those ditches clean. And my favorite example of this, of course, is JD2, which 20 years ago in 2004, 5, and 6 was cleaned, but we haven't done an aggressive cleaning on it on all. We've done other parts that haven't been touched yet, but we haven't done from top to bottom again. And, even though you could see a little piecemeal every year, the system is nowhere near its capacity of ASAC. And that's not true just of JD2, that's true of all of them. So there needs to be a far more diligent maintenance system. And with a 30% increase, you give the administrator and the manager of the ditches credit, that's a start. But we have half of our employees here in regulatory and not in drainage management. And I guess the way as you all know, I'm very pro ditch, and I'd like to see that swapped around, I guess. so that there was more aggressive in that area. So I think that we could, I'd like to see, at least years ago when I first came on the board, we cut the budget by 10% the first year. And we cut it again the next year by 10%. This is the budget 2008, 2009. And we hired Tom Schmidt, and Nick Tomzak, and others, and they've been with us ever since. Professional staff to be able to begin the process of the 20 years of historical reviews we've had to make in order to take out a beaver dam, know how deep you can dig. So I'd like to see the next step of this go on. Like I said, we cut the budget in those years and we kept it steady and we increased the grant amount that came here. And we used the grant money to offset any tax increases for a number of years, and that we've gotten away from. And I kind of like to go back to see some, at least once in a while, have that happen. And that seemed to disappear right around 2012. We had a change of administrators and board members and such. And so it'd be nice to see that happen again. So that, Mr. President, are my comments. I just asked the staff to take a look to see how they can look at the areas in there and make it a flat without a tax increase this year. With that, I yield back my time, sir.
Thank you. So we will obviously address these again at the coming workshop, but let me quickly go down the list. Regulatory savings, those will occur when cities specifically come and petition us to adopt their own rules and become responsible for maintenance. When they do that, we will reflect that change in the future budgets, but at this time, all 20 of our 27 cities, only 3 have taken over that responsibility, of which one of them has come back and hired us to do the job for them. So it's city-driven, not us-driven. Restoration, creating manners, that is a project that we've got out for a work order right now to develop the cost determination. That will be a future vote. This is a placeholder allowing us the opportunity, once that comes in, if we decide to in fact create meanders, to do so. Grant projects. Every one of the grants that we've included in our budget were separately and individually approved by this board. In terms of maintenance, we've increased the maintenance budget by 33%. We're doing and going the right way. I look forward to further discussion.
Mr. President, I didn't realize we're going to have a debate about this today. I thought it was just comments about what subjects
And
we
those are my
talked about at
comments.
the workshop.
Those are my comments.
But, that's a rebuttal is what it is. And so.
That's my comment.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Certainly.
I do find sometimes, especially this last budget cycle has been a little, I'm going to use the word hostile and not in like the gravest sense, but I find it for myself, and I think we've been colleagues long enough now, you know, that I have no problem opening my mouth and saying things. I'm reluctant to do so just for what played out here right now. Manager Waller is absolutely allowed to give his opinion. We don't always have to push back on what someone's opinions are, and I feel like it just prompts an unhealthy debate versus a healthy debate. If he has an issue, I expressed my issues and I was accused of grandstanding. So it just does not promote an environment where we can even attempt to work through problems, because it feels sometimes like it's a little my way or the highway. And, you know, in addition to, you know, being here, I know myself, I'm under a lot of pressure from Anoka County to make sure that I am doing what they're asking me to do. And so sometimes when I express that, it's like, okay, well, where is my place to dialogue this without someone basically telling me that I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about? And that's frustrating. So Nick, if when we get to this workshop, we could somehow, I don't know if we got to bring in puppies and kittens so that everyone's in a happy place, but we have to be able to promote healthy dialogue, because what is really frustrating for me is when it turns into just back and forth. Can we just find solutions? Can we find compromise? Can we find things that we actually agree on? I think if we focused on that and then worked on the things that we don't agree on, I think we could find a way to wrap our heads around differing opinions. There are 5 people on this board, and 5 people bring different skill sets and different talents and different knowledge bases, and only when the 5 of us work together does this work. And sometimes it just feels a little extra, and it doesn't need to be. Oh, these don't shut off. Kyle, you need to be able to shut these microphones off up here. They're always on.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Nick, next item.
It's the
Yes, Board of Managers, next item on the agenda is your items requiring board action. That is the check register.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the check register dated August 27th, 2025 in the amount of $298,444.32 and the August interim financial statement prepared by Redpath and Company.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. All right. So take us up to what, staff reports?
Yes, items for discussion and information. Next item is staff reports.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Again, I find these staff reports very interesting and educational. We at this board discuss probably a small subset of the work that the Rice Creek Watershed is engaged in. And looking at these, once again, reinforces to me the breadth of what our work includes. And I'll just point out that, for instance, Anna Grace is following the new MPCA nutrient reduction strategy, which has been a huge statewide effort, multi-agencies and local input on that. It's well over 20 years old. So for her to keep track of that, I think is essential for our board. You know, I could go down, Eric shows us that he's closed 6 permits, resulting in $12,900 in return to our surety account. Not a small thing to do. We have worked with the St. Anthony Lab and the stormwater issues that we're involved with, including a request I got actually from the Washington County Commissioner, who serves on the Clean Water Council with me, about looking at irrigation reuse and how that is reducing nitrogen as that water is reused for land application. So our staff is very much engaged in statewide efforts as well, and how those impact this watershed. So I thank the staff for putting these together and for, again, informing us of the multiple items that the staff and this team are engaged with.
Thank you. Nick, next.
Yes, next on the agenda is September's calendar. If you'd like to take a look, that's your last page of your packet. Staff have nothing to add to that.
The manager, Robertson, you have the September 3rd CAC.
That is correct.
Very good.
And Mr. Chair, just to be clear, on September 10th, we will have a vote on the budget, which sets the highest level or the maximum of what can be levied. Is that correct? And we've set.
Yeah, President Bradley?
Yes.
I'll acknowledge that to be generally correct. You're answering to your obligation as a watershed district. You have to adopt a budget by that date. That is one of the state statutes you're obligated to follow. The other is truth in taxation, which does allow the reduction come later in the year.
So yes, come prepared on the 8th
Yep.
to discuss.
Administrator updates. I'll note that we're all but complete on the Metro Blooms trademark, the Blue Thumb trademark transition to Metro Blooms. We're gonna cross the line here, just confirming that they have the trademark in hand. I'll leave the Minnesota Watersheds voting to our delegates. I attended that meeting. I'll note DNR, who monthly puts out a report on the across the landscape of the various watersheds, that we're currently in high flows, which is a bit unusual for this time of year, but the rains continue to drain out of the systems, causing for those high flows. So, nothing further.
John, anything further?
No, sir, I'll wait for the rebuttal that, to correct you for the misinformation at another time at the workshop. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, David and I attended the Ramsey County League of, or the subset of the Ramsey County League of Cities that focus on in the environment. And at that meeting, they recommended that we have a representative attend a September 12th meeting of the Ramsey County League of Cities, where the subset will recommend that the League of Cities issue a letter of support for our County Ditch 2, 3, and 5 project. So that was, we had great enthusiasm from the folks that represented Ramsey County in that effort. So we'll make sure that we're there.
Fabulous. Mr. Robertson?
Mr. Chair, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to thank Marcy and David for their efforts to meet with the legislative organization, and it resulted in them recommending a letter of support for our legislative efforts to get money from the state for the Jones Lake. Secondly, thank her again for attending with me to vote on the Minnesota Watershed 3 resolutions that were up for consideration, all of 3 of which passed. The one that we had endorsed and put forward was the first up and received a fair amount of discussion. I think the final vote was 32 in favor, 5 against. Nick did a stunning job of presenting the case for our proposal, addressing the erroneous concerns and thoughts by some of our colleagues from other watersheds.
Mr. President, would you refresh the audience as to what you're talking about there?
So this was a proposal that we put forward to have the Minnesota Watershed Minnesota Watershed Organization seek legislation which would eliminate the 25-year cap on forgiveness for maintaining ditches that would drain a wetland. And Nick explained in detail why the 25-year cap was not workable, nor was it rational in terms of the jobs we have to get done. That we need to do, clean out those ditches, even when they affect watersheds. We should not be punished for that. And with that stunning job done, he garnered majority votes necessary for that to become an item for the watershed management, for the Minnesota Watersheds, Minnesota Watersheds Organization. I love Maud better. But anyway, that's what was accomplished, and that's what I have. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, Mr. Chair, really
Yes.
quickly, so I was just thinking to myself, I should have Teresa send me a calendar reminder for September 3rd for that CAC meeting because of the Labor Day holiday.
Yeah.
My council meeting went from Monday to that Wednesday, so I will be at Blaine City Hall, so I would be most happy to entertain the idea of swapping a meeting date with one of my colleagues to attend the CAC, just because I have to be.
I think I have the
Council
following
chambers.
month. Do I not have the following month? October? Okay, so why don't we switch you with Wagaman? And then.
Sure, because he can attend
Oh, he can't come, he
remotely.
can't come, so I'm thinking. So why don't you switch with me in November? I've got November, so you could.
So
do
I'll
November.
take November.
You take November
Okay.
and I'll take,
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I apologize. I forgot that Labor Day came very, very, very early this year.
I think this, I have a problem. I'm having surgery that day, eye surgery. I can't do that.
I could take it.
Oh, my goodness.
Wait a minute.
Are you
wait,
sure
is
on the
it-
third?
Wait a minute, let me see, make sure. No, I do not. I can, yes, I do. I have,
It says you are seeing.
Dr.
said-
Utley, yes.
Said doctor, yes. That's
so I
what
don't
you're
think I should
saying.
do that.
Okay, I can take it on the 3rd.
Thank you, Marcy.
And we'll figure this out.
Yeah, if you need me to take Steve's, assuming then in October, maybe, then I can absolutely take Steve's in October. I can absolutely do that,
Why
that's
don't we
fine.
do it that way? and we'll go
Okay,
from there.
thank
All
you for
Yeah.
accommodating challenging schedules with the holiday. Government work. On that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.